Hello, beautiful beings of the most divine shadow and light. I just needed to hop on here. This was not planned at all, but I just wrapped up a call with my group 1212, and I'm connected right now to the 12th dimensional field of consciousness. I don't say this to be impressive. I don't say this to, whatever. It's just like I'm currently connected to a field of consciousness that is so fucking beautiful, is so elevated, and I just need to speak to all of you from here now. So I don't even know what wants to come through. I don't know what wants to be said. Beautiful beings. You are so perfect. We are so perfect. In our mess, in our flaws, in our trauma. Oh, specific people. I'm calling to specific people. Your soul came down. The English language, fuck. Your soul came down from such a high field of consciousness. It's already mastered within you. And even the word mastery, the words your soul came down, implies a hierarchy, implies like a superiority, but that's not actually how it is or how it works. You are directly connected with a field of consciousness that is so high, it is so beautiful. It is unity. It is the place where you don't even need to heal your traumas, because you can see them for what they are. Oh. It's difficult bringing this down into words because I'm afraid of being misunderstood and misperceived. Everything that you are is so fucking holy, is so perfect, is so divine. Everything that you are is so powerful. In this field of consciousness, I understand that the false matrix system doesn't hold a candle to us. And that we don't even need to say, like, fuck you, false matrix. We can. It's fun to do that. All you have to do is just tap into this field of consciousness that you are, that you belong to. Ki irua junto a I wharawa I ti ar ku a. I sinto a to I ira. Oh, ti ar ku ura fi ti a chura. I sinoa. You are this, you are this, you are this now. You are this now. In your imperfection. In your human life, in the places that feel messy, the parts of yourself that you don't want to see, the things in your past that you never want to revisit. You already are this level of consciousness. And from this place, I can feel that the false matrix field is, it's screaming with our collective trauma being cycled back around and around and around and around and around, and It is crying to be healed. Like it is crying to be released. Almost like the Eye of Sauron itself is the child that just wants to be brought back into the source field, and like it just got stuck on a cycle. You are this consciousness now. You are this consciousness now. It doesn't matter what, it doesn't matter how small you feel. It doesn't matter how messy your life feels. It doesn't matter, in a way, it doesn't matter what your, galactic identity is. It doesn't matter what your starseed identity is. All those things, they're beautiful and there's nothing wrong with them. It's beautiful to understand and integrate, these higher dimensional aspects of ourselves. But the thing is that, like, you are a portal to this healing now. You are a portal to this level of consciousness now. You have the ability right now, in the human that you are, to repattern and recode this hologram, this beautiful realm. Without needing to fix it, without needing to fix yourself. The tricky part is figuring out how to coexist with the ego. The thing is that none of us is anybody else's guru. I am not your guru. I am not like, if there's a part of you that's like, ooh, I want to be seen as the leader. I want to heal people. I want to have this power so I can, that's the part to just be aware of yourself and don't operate from that place. But connect into the higher frequency that you already are, that feels the connection and the unity with everyone else. And that, like, you don't need anybody to worship you. You don't need anybody to defer to your perception or your perspective. You don't need anybody to agree and say that, you're telling the truth or like congratulate you on the expansiveness of your thoughts or whatever like that. You already are connected to a field of consciousness that is so unified that you can see the trauma and you can see the pain and you can see through it. You can see beyond it. Also, both. The trauma's there. And we are all together in this field. And this field of consciousness is so fucking holy. It's so holy. It's so loving. It's so pure. That we don't need to play into the small narratives anymore. And in fact, we can use those narratives to our advantage. Even that languaging is incorrect. We get to use those narratives. All those places where we experience trauma, fear, limitation, all those places that we feel small, we feel dysfunctional, we get to use those as portals to inject the divine love frequency. We're so much bigger than the false matrix. We're so much bigger. Like, it doesn't hold a candle to us. It literally doesn't. It doesn't hold a candle to you. You get to be a portal for light that is fucking blindingly powerful. You get to be a portal for light that is so it is powerful, and yet it is gentle, and it is inviting, and it is not forceful. It doesn't need to push itself on anyone. It just exists. It's a frequency that just exists, and you hold it. And those fragmented aspects of the collective consciousness that are ready to be brought into the light will come to you. And they will come to you in the granular, like you're a portal. Your human self is a portal. They'll come to you in the granular texture of your everyday life, of the people coming to talk to you, the bank teller, the grocery clerk, the person cutting you off in traffic, the person scamming your audience by stealing your Instagram pictures and pretending that they're you. You know, it's going to come to you in these ways, and it's all coming to, it feels like the darkness is coming to like swallow you and take you down. Not even possible. Not even fucking possible. There's no way. You're so powerful. It's swarming you because it wants to be healed. And the amazing thing is you don't even have to be a healer to do it. You just be the light. You just be the light. You don't have to be healed. You don't have to be perfect. You just be the light. And these pieces, these fragmented pieces of consciousness will come to you, and they will come to you through people. They will come to you through circumstances and scenarios, and you get to choose. Are you going to see it as like, I'm being triggered, or this thing is trying to take me down? I mean, I literally just yesterday recorded a podcast talking about how the Eye of Sauron wants to take you down, and how, you know, you get to be like, fuck you, false matrix, fuck you, Sauron, I see what you're doing, and I'm not this time. And right now I'm tapped into a field of consciousness where I'm aware that it's not trying to take you down. It's that your light is so brilliant as it is right now, that the darkness is coming to you because it's like, please see me and accept me. Please welcome me back into the light. And your messy human life is nothing to be rejected or scoffed at. It is a divine portal for these fragmented pieces of illusion and density to come back into the light. Hiroa ita I intoa I faroa ita I kuro a sinaroa I hirto I kanatoa I fa I chirioki I saroati a I tu arioki a I si oro bi anishnata kurkurte ar ki iroa I fa tora aha. There's no need to condemn yourself. There's no need to condemn anyone else. There's no need to convince anyone. There is a need to remember who you are. There is a need to remember that you already are connected to these higher fields of consciousness. And the beauty of being in a human incarnation, painful though it is that you are like the guardian at the gateway of free will, which is a characterizing feature of this dimension of consciousness. Humans currently on Earth, we exist in the third, fourth, and fifth dimensions of consciousness. We are already, there's all this fuss that's made over 5D ascension. But the 5D is just a portal. The portal is the gateway. That allows us to come back into a place of connectedness how do I describe it? Like as soon as you get through the 5D gateway, the 5D portal, you're connected to, all of it, essentially. Like, the sky is the limit, so to speak. But the 5D gateway is in the heart portal. We don't actually have to bring everything into a state of healing. What we do is become very, very present, willing to be with whatever comes up. And feel it. Like, when you're talking to somebody and they're being an asshole, yes, they are being an asshole. Like, people are assholes to each other, right? 5D consciousness, which is totally accessible to us right now, is meeting that asshole level and opening our hearts to feel that person. Let the asshole chatter just sort of pass by on the chatter level. And behind the scenes, you're feeling that person. And you're feeling like, oh, brother, I fucking love you. Sister, I love you. even though the unconscious part of you is being a dick right now, I love you. I feel you. I see you. I don't need you to change. I don't need you to heal. You're perfect. I am perfect. I don't need any of this to be different. That's the portal. That's why it's referred to as 5D ascension. We're not hanging out at 5D. It's just that that's kind of the ceiling that we keep bumping up against, that we're learning to master. But it's not like, man, our human selves, we are divine beings. We're fucking divine beings. We are the guardians at the gateway of free will. We're already connected to these higher fields of consciousness. I am currently connected right now, channeling from the 12th dimensional consciousness, which, I mean, it's not, I don't know. I'm rolling my eyes at our human selves that try to make these things, I don't know, linear, but it's important in order to articulate it. But just know, take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt as I try to explain the 12th dimensional field of consciousness. But the 12th dimensional field of consciousness is the Christ consciousness. It is also the, the Akashic field is up in the same, you could say the Akashic field is the 11th dimension and the angelic realm is the 10th dimension, but all of that is like totally just splitting hairs, and it's all in the same spot. And yet I'm not capped. I'm just channeling from the 12th dimension right now, but I'm not capped here. We're not capped here. 13th dimension is the void space, which exists all the way down into our human selves. And then above that is just pure. It becomes very pure. The higher the dimensions of consciousness go, the less structured they are. They're just very pure. We tend to think in terms of hierarchy here on Earth. So we think that to be in the human dimension is, I don't know, it's like somehow less divine or something like that. Not at all. It's very divine. It's very hard. It's very fucking hard to be here. I think we can all agree. It's super intense. Super intense. There's a lot of bullshit here we'd all rather not deal with. And yet here we are. It's very painful. And what characterizes this realm is free will. We are guardians at the gateway of free will. And because we have access to these higher dimensions of consciousness, we are choosing them. Understand that the reason that I'm able to connect with it right now is because I've chosen it and chosen it and chosen it and reached for 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 it. Opened up, opened up, opened up, opened up. Chosen it, chosen it, chosen it, chosen it, chosen it. And now I'm getting really good at it. But it's a process of choosing it and pulling it down into our bodies. Pulling it down into the daily minutia of our lives, of the dramas and the traumas, the dysfunctional relationship dynamics, and choosing it here and Choosing it means not shitting on ourselves for being imperfect. Because it's like, it goes hand in hand. I mean, you can't be in this realm as a human and be perfect. It's not possible. We all have a shadow side. We all have, we all have illusion. We all have illusion. We have, bullshit stories that we buy into. It's just part and parcel of the whole thing. But it's such a gift to have these bodies, to have these lives, to pull down into these bodies and these lives, these higher dimensions of consciousness. Just choose to see it. Choose to see your life from that higher dimension of consciousness. Even if it's only for a fraction of a second, and then you're back down in the trauma. Or back down in the density. For some of us, it's not, like for me, it's not a lot of trauma anymore. I've cleared out so much trauma, and I was really lucky. I didn't get born into a lot of trauma. Very, very, very fortunate in that respect. I've cleared out a lot of trauma, and I certainly inherited a fuck ton of trauma. Like, I was very lucky. I was not personally born into trauma, but my mom sure was born into trauma, and her mom sure was born into trauma. So there's been a lot of trauma to clear out. But I get pulled down into the day-to-day minutia of having to-do lists and having, always feeling like I'm failing. I'm failing everybody. Failing my children. Failing my husband. Failing myself. Failing my clients. Failing all the time. Like, I have so much I want to give, and, limitations. Human limitations to how much I can give at any given time. And really appreciating, though, how much, how much I am able to give. We get pulled down into that, and that's okay. That doesn't make us any less holy, any less divine, any less effective. When we can see it, even just for a fraction of a second, but, ideally we would hold it for as long as possible and practice it like a muscle, holding it longer and longer. But even if only for a fraction of a second, you can suddenly see it through the lens of your higher dimensional consciousness. So it could be your 7th dimensional creator consciousness. It could be your 8th dimensional oversoul consciousness. It could be your 9th dimensional kind of, you're so unified that you're starting to leave behind this whole illusion of fragmentation. Could be 10th, 11th, 12th dimensional, I'm channeling from right now, higher angelic, Akashic, Christ consciousness fields. They're all perfect. They're all beautiful. 6th dimensional, manifestation consciousness. Just reach for that higher consciousness and see in this moment your life from a place of oh, fuck. I have relationships with these people, and some of those relationships are beautiful and I love them. They're really easy. Some of those relationships are dysfunctional and painful or super fucking triggering. And I am a portal for this higher dimensional consciousness, but I have to choose it. Because it will not be forced on me. Because free will is it's sacred. It's sacred. Free will is sacred. So you have to choose it. But you're a portal for higher dimensional consciousness, and you can look at your life and understand. But just by seeing it from a higher dimension of consciousness, you are bringing light in. You're bringing healing. Doesn't mean you have to figure it all out or fix it. Doesn't mean you have to get to the bottom of your to-do list. You don't have to look any certain way. You don't have to, please look. I'm full of gray hairs. Who cares? Who actually fucking gives a shit? No one. If you could see my office, it's just a total disaster. And P.S., I definitely want to fix it. I really I believe that the way I feel about my home personally is I love my home and I need to take care of it. So yesterday, but I can only do small bits at a time. Yesterday, I cleaned out the produce drawer of my fridge and unfortunately had to compost a whole bunch of things that, disappeared in there and went bad. And William was helping me and I was talking to him about it and saying we need to do these things because we love our house. We take care of our space. So I do want to have a clean office from that attitude. But my point is, I don't have my shit together. I don't look perfect. And it doesn't matter. You don't have your shit together. You probably don't look perfect. Who cares? Nobody wants to see that fucking shit anyway, right? Nobody wants to see another Instagram account of a life that makes you feel small and like you're totally, failing. What we want is to be reminded that in our imperfect lives, in our divine, holy human incarnations, we become portals for the Christ consciousness frequency, which is the purest, most divine love that completely defies any, context that we have for love here. It's like a feeling that if you've ever felt it, it literally brings tears to your eyes. There aren't words. There's only I think that's why things like music are so important, because just words fail. But the Christ consciousness is also that grace, that ability to see the illusion presenting itself to you, see the trauma in yourself, in the people around you, whatever, on the news, whatever the fuck. And then see that layer, that false matrix layer, that trauma layer, and then see the truth behind it. And interface with that instead. So that person who's being a dick, when you can go into that space where you're I love you. I'm going to talk to this part of you. And the service part that's chirping might not hear me, but who cares? That's who I'm talking to, because I see you in there. And it's forgiveness of ourselves, all the ways that we wish we had done better, the regrets that we have, forgiving others, which of course is not condoning. It's not, that's such a distraction. It has nothing to do with condoning. It's just acknowledging that there's something realer. There's something realer that we can all connect to. When we, through the portal of our lives, our messy and perfect lives, choose these higher dimensions of consciousness, we reclaim this realm. And we become the new earth. We are the flash. We are the return of the Christ consciousness en masse. We are Galactics, Starseeds, volunteers. Ke uro e tara u wharo i te aroeta. Ki ero a te. I whinio te a ke ora. Sinto a ta purua a. Ki a. Tura, tura, tura. I kirio a te a ke oich a. Ish. Brr. We already are this. We just have to choose it. All right, so I showed up to do this live. Pretty sure I have to go pick up my daughter now from school. I don't even know what time it is. I showed up to do this live just very spontaneously, and it was definitely not to sell you into anything. Please take all of this as like freely coded permission, everything. You are perfect as you are. You do not need anything from anyone in order to be on your mission and to have the effect in the world that you are here to have. You are powerful. You are divine. You are perfect. You're perfectly placed, perfectly positioned. You get to be fucking pissed that it hurts as much as it does to be here. And at the same time, you get to access a field of light that is so powerful that it transcends and heals. I don't know, heal isn't the right word, but you know what I mean. It transmutes all of that pissiness, all that anger, all that trauma, all that pain. And you are already this now. You don't need anything from me or anyone else. But I would be remiss if I didn't say that if this random channel transmission speaks to you and you're like, holy, I need more of this. I want more. Like, this is a field that I want to learn how to access myself. I want to be here. Then I really have 2 containers that are appropriate for that. So the first one is, it's my highest level container. It's a group called 1212. It's not reopening until October, but I'm just saying that it is for like specifically expressly accessing the Christ light consciousness, like bringing it into our being. It's my inner circle. It's like, I love them so much. So if it resonates with you and you're like, ooh, I want to be part of that, it reopens in October for more people to come in and join. It comes with a bunch of perks. And then the next thing that is currently like enrolling right now, we start on August 27th, is a program called The Answer. And it is a 5-month-long program. It'll take us all the way over the like bullshit calendrical threshold out of 2022 into 2023. And it is for us to embody the process of reclaiming this realm. And what that means, and to me, it means like accessing our sorcery. So when we are able to consciously emancipate ourselves from the false matrix system, we get a whole bunch of our own energy back. And we're able to like hold these higher frequencies of consciousness, and we're able to channel, and we're able to harness them, and we're able to create things here that previously would have been seen, or currently would still be seen by people other than myself, I guess, as the stuff of movies and books and stuff of miracles, like superpowers, what we would call superpowers. But really what it is connecting with the source code of creation and being able to merge with it and sync with it, so that it's like kind of like becoming one with, a flock of birds. Like, you're not controlling the birds, you're syncing up with them. And together the birds are moving in a different direction. But you can do the same with the clouds and the weather. You can do the same with animals, with plants. Really, we're able to literally create very powerful things here when we access these higher levels of consciousness. So the answer is, it's like sorceress, but it's an open invitation to sorcerers as well, because we are the answer. That humanity sent out a cry, Gaia sent out a cry, and we are the answer. And the answer is to be deeply embodied in the divinity of our human incarnations, without requiring them to be perfect, without requiring them to be healed, but bringing in a level of consciousness that allows us to really, really see ourselves for who we really are. Remember, open up our channel, connect with those higher levels of consciousness, connect with the source code of the hologram of this realm, and be able to create from that space. Create balls of fire, create, weather patterns, like create beyond what we really have a concept for. So if you're interested in either of those things, please send me a message here on Instagram, or if you're watching this replay in Soul Space, just, hit me up in the comments. I'm sorry I didn't look at any of the comments. I'm just very much in a channeling space, and I kind of just needed to stay here to bring the message through. But thank you all for joining me. I love you. We are doing amazing, amazing work here together. You are perfect and powerful, just as you are. And it's an honor to be here with you. Much love.